but in giving all else above. Don't forget to give her love.
Hello and good evening. Welcome to Anita's Point of View. This evening, our topic is dating, and dating not only in the 90s, but just dating in general, the 80s, the 90s. What happened to us in the 80s that the 90s are so bad? Why is dating a big problem and difficult these days? Why are so many people promiscuous? And why is there tension between men and women? What happened to unconditional love? We need to find that in relationships again. Today I have two very special guests with me here that are going to help us discuss this problem. And if this is a really good show, we're going to continue with dating at Anita's Point of View here to come in the future. So there is a phone number at the end of the show if you'd like to make comments or write us a letter about your feelings and your thoughts about dating. First, let me introduce my guest. I have Miss Alana Moore, who is a sexpert. She has written 2 books about dating, and we'll talk about them in a moment. And I also have John Larson, who is an actor, and he works as an environmentalist as well. And he has a marriage background, also involved in another relationship. So he's going to tell us about marriage, about what it is getting in and out of that, and what it is to start a new relationship. And Alana's going to give us all the pointers. So let's start, guys. I need a date. No.
We are.
Well, how about, let me start with, like, why, who wants to answer this question? Why is it so challenging? Why is it that women, men, look for this challenge amongst women nowadays, or always, when we have so much challenge in our work fields with all the computer technology out there and all these interesting things in our world that we have to, my aunt always said, she says, let the man get the challenge with his research and his career. Why does he have to have it with you? Maybe John can answer that.
Well, Anita, thank you for allowing me to be on your show. And I've got to ask this question. Why would a beautiful woman like you have difficulty in obtaining a date? Now, just in me saying that gives vent to the situation that, in one respect, you're wary. Because why would you want to be attracted to someone solely on your looks? I mean, if you're dating, you want to find out all these things about someone else. And primarily, what's the first thing that goes once you're with someone? You know who they are. Your looks are somewhat irrelevant. So even that opening statement is why should someone like you, who's so obviously beautiful, have trouble getting a date?
Is it because I'm in L.A.?
That has a lot to do with it.
Well, Alana, how about, I want to know, what is this thing about men, you know, and women nowadays, I hear them all saying, well, they love the hunt. They love the hunt. What is this, they love the hunt? What about a woman wanting to hunt a little bit? What is this? So we give them that as an excuse? Well, what is it?
Well, it's pretty simple. I'm European, and I find that American men are into quantity instead of quality. And I speak for a lot of women when I say that LA is a candy store for men and a nightmare for women. Every woman I know is desperate and needy, looking for a man, looking for dates, complaining. And basically, to show you, this is out of Los Angeles magazine, what single women think about LA men, and it says, hint, it isn't
So what is it that women think about LA men? Is it just in LA? I mean, I'm from Philadelphia, and I'm from a town where I just came back from there, and, you know, people are holding hands. I mean,
How
I come
romantic, how romantic.
I felt like I
romantic.
visited Europe for a day or something, and I come back here, and people don't do that. We're missing out on this unconditional love. Now, getting back to what you were saying about, it has nothing to do with looks, it's about connection. What happened in the 80s that we lost our connection?
Absolutely.
We were in the sexual revolution, we lost our connection. We used sex as a metaphor or as a way of wanting to supposedly emote ourselves, but what we were doing was just expressing ourselves physically. So now we're turning to new alternative types of exercise like the movement and things like that to get people to emote, because we used sex in that era bring people together, but instead it brought people further apart because they just physicalized everything. So now we're back in connection. What do you have to say about that? You were married in the 80s?
What do I have to say about that, Anita? Well, thanks, Elena.
Everything.
Tell us everything.
You were married, weren't you, in the 80s?
Certainly. I was married in the 80s, and I am divorced from that. And let me tell you, if you do get married, make that be your permanent plans. It is just too painful. It destroys your life. It'll destroy those around you that you don't even know you're touching. So, first of all, the dating is a very important thing. And everyone who's out there is not just being predatory about what they're doing. That is, if you're really sincerely dating, that's a real turnoff. To go for the superficial things, to go for the obvious. Well, is she wearing Christian Dior? Is he wearing Brooks Brothers?
Right, and that's LA for you.
That's LA. Everybody is so used to the image. They want to see that sort of thing. But in my experience, and you have to take that with a grain of salt because I am currently divorced, one needs to have a little more substance in that. And that's what you're alluding to, isn't it? That one has to find out what it is about the other person that you're really attracted to that will be the mainstay of their commitment, their marriage. And it's obviously going to be more than just the looks or just the trappings. They may make things initially easier for you, to be overwhelmed, to be taken out to dinner, the shows, the skiing.
So it's about what you have in common.
Finding that out, yeah, in the dating situation, that's very important.
What I want to mention, as we're talking here at Anita's point of view, that my objective here is to bring the sexes together. I want to end the war. I want to be the one who starts it. Instead of looking at each other like we're black and white. Now, I have a question for Ilana. What is this thing that women, now again, I don't want to make a war between the sexes, that men are, or women are responsible for men's actions? For example, I don't want to bring up the thing with Mike Tyson and the rape, but like she went to his room and she was responsible because she went to his room at 2 in the morning. And I'm not talking about rape, I'm just talking about anything where sex is involved, where a woman's emotions are involved. What happened to the men? You know, it's a crime to take advantage of feelings. Why do men or women take advantage of each other's feelings, but they wouldn't do it to their grandmother, or maybe they do, or their school teacher, or their girlfriend or boyfriend? When we take advantage of each other's feelings in a relationship, it is a crime. And I want to know, what do you think about women being responsible for the actions of men? I sometimes get guilty and think I'm responsible for this whole... What do you think about it in your book? Do you have any advice?
I think that it's just an excuse for guys to get away with their sex drive. Personally, it's like if a girl gets raped and by accident she happened to wear a miniskirt, they said, oh, she was looking for it, she was dressed like that. Or as you mentioned, the girl who went to Mike Tyson at 2 in the morning, oh, she invited it, it was her fault. It's just, in my eyes, it's a simple excuse.
So what is this thing that men are animalistic? Are they wanting to be viewed as animals? These are supposed to be a woman's hero, a woman's soldier. Men are our heroes, so we constantly are putting them down, but yet at the same token, we want from them, but then they're animals. And what is this?
Well,
oh, I'm an animal.
We don't call them dogs for nothing, and as I mentioned in my last show with you, Anita, in my book, I compare women to cats, personality-wise that is, and men to dogs.
Thank you.
I'm talking personality-wise, and I didn't come up with this. I wasn't the first to say that men are dogs, but unfortunately, the way they are behaving, you know, it's a sad fact, and it seems that AIDS has not really changed anything other than the fact that men are now willing to wear condoms, whereas before it was a big deal, you had to talk them into it. And I think that they're as promiscuous as ever. In my opinion, the 90s man is ambivalent, he's promiscuous, he's selfish and insecure. And that to a woman is devastating.
So here's a question for you, John. I totally agree with you. I agree, but I want to know, what is this thing about men? Like I said to a guy once, I said something and he goes, well, what do you expect? I'm only a man. And he went like inferior, and I thought, well, God, what am I, Superwoman? And I thought, I didn't even feel like Superwoman because, again, we need the opposite sex for our nourishment. So I felt inferior as well. maybe you can explain that, why men think, well, we're only men. Are they afraid of women?
Well, first of all, Anita and Ilana, I don't have all the answers. I just have a few experiences.
But you were married and
you
you
got my attention when you said men are all dogs, though. I mean, my gosh.
That's the word out there.
That's the word.
Dogs or players.
Well, in my ever so humble opinion, I think that people are able to attract what they want, either consciously or subconsciously. I mean, if you're attracting this kind of person, that's what you want. Now, if you want something other than that, you've got to do something that in the line to change your image to go after something else. That's not to say the point that you brought up earlier about the attraction that goes on between the sexes, and also to counter my own point about the factor of being attracted to someone initially. People have to have that. We're animals, after all. I mean, you want to...
Well, we are primal, and we would like to...
Of course we are.
We want to get back with the movement. We have a minute for this half.
But we have responsibilities,
we
too.
want to get primal and primitive.
Of course.
But we don't want to be viewed like, well, you're an animal, and that's an excuse. That's not an excuse.
Well, that's called the dance, then.
Yes, okay, it is the dance, that's right. It is
the dance of the dogs.
And we're going to come back, and we have just a minute left. What I wanted to talk about also is these women and their emotions running around raggedly, you know, and they're not nourishing themselves, they're not getting nourishment from men, and the man is not running around with his emotions all over the place like the woman is. So I want you to give us some advice for some women, how they can cope with themselves and what they need to do to get with a man and have their emotions too, their identity, and to hold on to themselves, you know, some pointers.
I think that men are scared by the woman's emotion because men are guided by their genitals. They're controlled by their genitals.
On that note, we're going to come right back. Controlled by the genitals. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this PSA for Anita's point of view. Controlled by the genitals. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with Ilana and John.
Dolphins. For 30 years, they were driven to extinction in the tuna nets until Congress, under public pressure, passed laws to protect them. Now those protections are under attack by special interest congressmen and foreign fishermen, putting the dolphins right back in danger. Who can save the dolphins? President Clinton can. Call 1-800-DOLPHIN now.
Welcome back to Anita's Point of View, and we left off at men are controlled by the genitals. Can you explain that to me?
Well, in general, you know that, as I already say, men and women are different animals. Men are controlled by their genitals, women are controlled by their emotions. It is, has been said, and again, it's not me, women need a reason to have sex, men only need a place. And that's, again, I think that's very sad, and it shows.
Please, take responsibility for what you say. If you heard it and you say it, you believe it.
I believe it, 100%. Everything I say, I believe it, and I wouldn't repeat it if I didn't believe it. That's for sure. But everybody knows that men are, you know.
So men are more physical, is what we're saying.
Very much physical.
And you know, with all the exercises and the world, the fitness world that we're in, a lot of us are very physical today. But why is it that men are more in the reproductive area more physical than women?
Let me answer
all
that.
right.
May I? Okay. And you mentioned something earlier when you first started speaking about turnoffs. Okay. For a guy, I felt very defensive there just a minute ago, actually on a couple of occasions when I was alluded to as a dog and also controlled by my genitals.
I'm not talking about all men. I'm the kind of man who dates between 3 and 5 women at the same time.
As has been said in many, many, many movies. What am I, chopped liver? Listen, those blanket statements are extreme turnoffs. As the very first thing that I said to you. Now, this is where you have to be aware. When you're speaking with someone, don't say, why would a beautiful woman like you have difficulty getting a date? Or all men are dogs, or all men are controlled by their genitals. We have to obey our urges, of course, otherwise our species would not propagate and go forth, as they say. But we have responsibilities for what we say and how we act.
I'm talking in general. I would never use the phrase all men are dogs or all men are
I
women.
stand
I'm talking
corrected.
in general. Women in general are emotional. Men in general are, you know, more physical. And there's one word to explain it, testosterone.
Testosterone. Now that's a good thing.
Hey.
I mean, that's
So we need more of that in our bodies. Well, you know what I wanted to talk about? Promiscuity. What is this thing now? Everyone has a relationship and it lasts a week, it lasts a month. Everyone is so promiscuous. I don't know. I just want to say something healthily, that if women don't know this, that the more sexual partners, speaking from a health point of view, that you have, the more chances of you getting cervix cancer is increasing. For a woman who has constant sex over and over, her chances of getting cervix cancer are very, very high. Because of, not because of the physicality of the penetration of a man going in her, but because her emotions are opening and closing consistently. And cancer is an emotional disease, in a sense, because we are holding on to things. And a woman, that is her most emotional area. What do you think, why are people so promiscuous out there? Is it for the fun? Is it for what? I'm not saying I haven't been, I've been, and I'm trying to figure out why, you know?
One word again, temptation.
I have an opinion on that too.
Too much temptation in this town.
Is there?
Too many women and not enough good guys, you know? So the women are desperate and they're easy and they throw themselves on guys. They approach them first. They ask them out for dates. They pay for dates.
So what do you have to say about that? What kind of advice can you give to the audience? These women, why are they, it's not stupid, it's part of growing. But, I mean, we need to respect each other, and they're not respecting themselves in that matter. So
I agree. I don't count myself among these women because I'm from the old schools. I have old-fashioned values. I believe in loyalty. I'm a one-man woman. I do not believe in casual sex. So I personally think that all these women out there need to do something about it, you know.
Maybe as a group kind of thing? You know, or at least because it's hard as an individual to, you know, the emotions are running around free. I mean, people have to do something. They have to connect. They think they're connecting, but they're not. They're not really connecting.
I have something to say on that. Again, Alana, I disagree with your blanket statements about all the women out there are promiscuous.
I'm not saying all the women. Again, I'm talking about women in general.
Well, that pretty much covers it, Alana. That's with the exception of yourself.
This article proves it. The reason I wrote my book is because I became aware of the anger that women today, and I'm not talking about all women, but women in general, every talk show you watch, there are women, two women fighting about one guy who's a total loser. And there is this chaos. Just look at the Jerry Springer show. There's all these desperate women. I'm not saying every woman, but women in general in this town are desperate and needy.
And I've got to say, if you portray men in that fashion, portray women in that fashion, that's what you're going to find. Because I have a different opinion. There's some totally very fine people in Los Angeles.
Can you introduce us? Because obviously we don't know them.
Well, I would be glad to.
We have to get in different
We're
circles.
both looking for
I
dates.
would be glad to. But there is a thing which you pointed out earlier,
I see men and
Anita.
women, they just don't stop arguing. I don't know what it is, they don't get along. And no matter what situation you put them in, it's a black and white issue.
We could be getting along, and this is maybe just an example of how it happens. I mean, you're a very beautiful person, Alana.
Thank you.
And you're certainly entitled to all your opinions. and
It's not just my opinion.
It's not just your opinion.
Just
I
other
know.
women's
One of the-
opinions.
Read this.
You mentioned
and the
something.
reason of my book is because I've interviewed all these women.
You
so
have.
it's
I
not
haven't read
just
your
my
book. I
opinion.
leafed through it, and I found it
You won't
entertaining
like
what I
it.
saw.
You won't like it, obviously.
You never know.
Okay, so who you were going to say something? I want to ask a couple more
you
questions.
brought up a couple of things about some of the difficulties with dating. There's so many people out there. You brought up the frequency of meeting other people. In this modern age that we live in, I think that's kind of a sign of the times. There's thousands of people out there, and I think you should be very selective because there are dangers. And as you become a little more aware of what you actually want, who you are, you'll be a little bit more selective in whom you choose to go out with, whether it's for fun or whether it's for something serious. And believe me, this city is full of people that want to have a strong, nourishing relationship.
Of course, and you know, I really think that sex is just a metaphor. It's not even about sex when people get together. You know, to bring up sex, like, you know, when Madonna did her book, the sex book, and everyone was like, ah, she's a pig, oh, it's sex. That whole thing about her sex book was just a metaphor about different political statements. You know, and I have all the things about her, and I'm very strong about the subject of sex because I'm a Scorpio, and so is Alana, and our birthdays are coming up, and that is the sign of the sexual beast of the women. And it is, it's the sexual sign.
Represents the sign of sex.
Sex, and it's not really a physical thing, it is more a philosophy. It is more a philosophy, you know, sex for the Scorpio. And only a Scorpio can really understand how deep that this goes. So sex, to me, is just a metaphor for a lot of other things. Our society doesn't tend to view it that way. Do you have anything you want to say about that before I get into it? I want to talk about why men, you know, why do men and women lie to each other when sex is so easy?
Well,
you could go about the metaphor first, or this.
Anita, you touched on so many subjects there. You spoke references to your books. Those are statements of art. That's really your own art, in my opinion, and I think it's beautiful. And the same thing that you're saying, when you use yourself expressively with your sexual being, that's being very artistic. And human beings, as well as so many animals, I mean, you can watch Discovery Channel. People do things sexually that are exciting and stimulating to them, and why not? And that isn't to detract from any of the society's mores that we have. I mean, you can do whatever you want when you're married, and if you don't hurt the other person, a variety of things like that. There are so many extremes that they simply have to be taken into account.
Well, I just want to touch on that subject a minute, like about the unconditional love thing. You know, a lot of women go into a relationship with a man and they expect. And, you know, sometimes, you know, it's healthy to go into a relationship without expecting and just to go into it with saying, let's share and explore each other and have some unconditional love. I don't have to marry you. You don't have to marry me. We're not going to marry everyone we go out with. Probably not going to marry anyone at this point. Anyway, but I mean, it's the truth, because I don't know of anyone getting married these
Have you
days.
checked your fan mail lately? I mean, there's bags and bags in the hallway where they're just loaded with letters saying, Anita, I would love to meet you.
Yeah, but see, we're very selective. We're very extremely selective. We don't just go out with anyone.
Well, but of course.
Right, and a woman has to be, and so does a man. And I think about this thing that women, you know, they want from the guy, and they get into the relationship, and they're like, I have to have this, and I want to know where it's going. And sometimes men do too, you know, I want to know where it's going, and I got to know after a month if it's going to go anywhere, or I'm not going to go. Okay, I see putting your energy into other things in life, and that's fine. But then again, we get back to unconditional love, something that our world is dying for. And it should start in relationships, or at least with your family at home, your parents. And maybe a lot of us didn't have that with the dysfunctions of the 80s, and maybe the 90s are going to come back to functional family life. Who knows? But what do you think about, you know, what do you think about this? I mean, you know, this whole thing about unconditional love. You're in a new relationship.
I have an opinion on that, and why
I want to
shouldn't
go over
I?
these 10 things.
Please.
Well, you know,
Unconditional
you're married, you have children, you're on to another. Now, how can that be?
How
A
can
man
it get-
married, divorced, children,
can't-
onto a steady relationship with a beautiful woman. I can't even get to point A where he's
Point
at.
A. Well, let me tell you, like I said earlier, I don't recommend what I've done for others, because there's a lot of pain involved with changing relationships to everyone involved. However, this unconditional love that you mentioned, that can be given at the onset. And if you're looking for that, don't settle for anything else but. And it can be displayed in so many different ways. And some of the first attractions that you may have with someone else may be their sexuality. That's the sort of
So we
thing
should
that
take
will
advantage once in a while.
absolutely.
Have fun. Have
You should
fun.
have fun. And you should be aware of what attracts you
don't
to the
hurt
other
others.
person. And do not hurt other people. And be aware of what you're doing.
Okay, before we have 3 minutes left, I wanted to get into the 10 dating no-nos that you have in your book. Let's show your books here. These are Alana's books. One is called Advice from the Sex Goddess for the Women, and the other one is Straight Talk for Men Only by Alana Moore. If you can see the books here, And you can call the number at the show about any information on the guests, about the books, and she's going to tell us the 10 no-nos?
I'm going to tell you the 10 most common dating no-nos these days. And it's very simple stuff, guys, but please remember that for women, it's the little things that count. Number 1 is showing up late. 5 to 10 minutes is acceptable. Anything more is rude. Then you'll be surprised to find out that showing up is early is actually worse because women are never ready before time. Number 2 is showing up with a sloppy appearance, not being shaved, not dressed up, anything. Number 3 is the guy showing up with no plans whatsoever. Number 4 would has to be the guy who shows up and after he picks you up has to go to the ATM, has to go to the gas station, which are all things he should have done before picking up his date. Number 5 would have to be a guy who's a cheap date, which will make any woman feel cheap. You know, nobody wants a cheap date. Number 6 would have to be a guy who's self-absorbed and has no sense of humor. Remember, guys, women love a funny guy who makes them laugh. Number 7 would have to be a guy who has no manners. Number 8 would have to be a guy who's boring and self-absorbed, speaks only about himself, doesn't show any interest in his dates. Number 9, of course, would have to be the guy who's too pushy and tries to get laid at the first date, which is a big no-no, guys. Slow down, take your time. And number 10 would be the lie, I'll call you, which all of us women are very familiar with.
So on that note, I think that's a really good list that you have there, and about, you know, people making accusations and different statements about people, lines and all that stuff. We're going to have to wrap it up. I wanted to get into traditions about how, and careers, and maybe a lot of us are afraid of our own feelings, and I think that's a reason why there's so much difficulty in relationships today. We're afraid of our feelings. There's a lot of traditional values that we're still holding on to, which we still need to hold on to. And also careers, a big thing. So the next show that we have, we're going to get into those topics. I'd like to thank my guests, Alana Moore and John Larson, our 2 sex expert and actor environmentalists, for attending the show this evening. Stay tuned next time for Anita's Point of View.
Bye, you guys.
Remember to love yourself today and love someone else.
Be her friend. Stay beside her till the end. But in giving all else above, don't forget to give her love.
In a word or two, you I wanna do. No, not your body, your mind, you fool. Come here, baby. Yeah. You sexy motherfucker. We're all alone in a villa on the Riviera. Got some friends on the south side in case you cared. Out of all of your friends, I wanna be the closest. That's why I tell you things so you'll be the mostest when it comes to life. To be this man's wife, you got to be well educated on the subject of fights. I mean the prevention of. In other words, it's REM, meaning of this thing called love. Are you up on this? If so, then you can get up on a hug and a kiss. Come here, baby. Yeah. You sexy motherfucker. Come here, baby. Yeah. You sexy motherfucker. We need to talk about things. Tell me what you do. Tell me what you eat. I might cook all about me and you. Ain't no one else around. I'm even with the blindfold, gagged and bound. I don't mind. See, this ain't about sex. It's all about love, being in charge of this life and the next. Why all the cosmic talk? I just want you smarter than I'll ever be when we take that walk. Come here, baby. Yeah. You sexy motherfucker. Come here, baby. Yeah. You sexy motherfucker.
Welcome to Making the Moves, the dating show here. I'm your host, Anita DeFrancesco, and the object of the show is to bring the sexes together.
Oh. That's pretty good, Anita.
That's great.
Hello, welcome.
Hello. Hey,
Well,
that's
as
good.
you see, men are afraid of women, Dave.
Sometimes. I don't blame them for being afraid.
They don't want to be attached, by no means.
Nope.
Well, let me
So
introduce
how
my
about
guest. I'm Anita DeFrancesco, your host. This is Erin Moore. She is an astrological matchmaker. Also, she was a booking agent for the dating game. And she's here to talk to us about her experiences with dating. Dave Norwood, who is a musician, and with the Limbo
Band.
And Cora Lee Zaremba, who is an actress, can be seen on one of the TV series from time to time. Anyway, let's talk about dating, making the moves.
Let's make them.
Oops, we got a call already. Shucks. I guess
Jeez,
I
that's
gotta answer.
fast.
The dating, sorry.
How are you?
Yes, hello?
We'll turn down our TV. Hold on.
Okay.
Turn it down.
Turn down your TV.
I am. It's down. Turn down on the TV too.
We didn't even.
What's going on?
We just started. We'd like to talk about dating, making the move. You want to listen first and then give us a call?
Maybe he's got a
You have
question.
You got a question?
Yeah, what's the first one's name to the left?
To the left. Which one?
That one, yeah. The one that came. There you go.
Cora Lee.
Yeah. She's kind of fly.
She's kind of what?
Kind
Fry.
of fly.
Kind of fry?
Fly.
Fly! That means you're a hot babe.
Oh.
It does? How'd you
Well,
know?
she likes to hear that.
Yeah, hey, go girl.
All right. Well, you leave your number with them, and we'll have her call you.
Really?
We want to get talking for a minute. Can you give us a call back? You have any more questions?
Call back. I would love to talk to you guys in a minute. I want to get cheap.
Okay, let us talk. Okay, so here we are making the moves. And my first guest, Erin, I wanted to ask her about, since she's had much experience in the dating business, let's talk about what makes relationships work in the 90s. You were talking something earlier about education. Maybe it's something that we need to learn now, a new skill, a new technique. Just like we're learning everything else, we might have to have a certificate to date. Can you tell me about it?
Anita, absolutely. I think that people get in a relationship and they think it's like 9 to 5 and it's just going to happen to them and sit back and collect a relationship paycheck. That was maybe true in the Beaver Cleaver days where relationships were more realistic. I think today they're more of a dream.
Like the American house, the big house.
Right.
It's probably a dream out here. Maybe not on the East Coast. You can buy a house there.
Right.
can.
But
Right.
here it's a dream. So you mean like it's a dream to have a relationship?
It's a dream. That's what I feel. That's how it's occurred for me. And in order to keep that dream happening or actually make it happen is to make a commitment to the other person that you're going to continue with education. Like when you go to hair school and you get your license, you don't just learn to cut hair and then that's it and the hairstyles stay the same.
Okay.
So continue your education with relationships. And I think that's why people like John Gray, Barbara DeAngelis are so on top of it because, you know, their programs are absolutely fabulous. And I can, you know, I can say that
So
they're
you're
great.
thinking that people need to not only learn initially about relationships, about dating, the techniques. This is a continual process. It's like refreshing yourself every once a year, every
Absolutely.
6 months. Or
Yeah.
I would think too, because it's an ongoing. Why? The reason I think that we are in such need of this is because there's a lot of change. We are faced with career transitions left and right. So it is important for us to find some stability, and that is why relationships are out here, because jobs are out here. And we're faced with a lot of multicultural differences as well. And we all have in our background, which our topic today was going to be traditions, about some of us want to live that old way. And they want to have the best of both worlds. And you can have the best of both worlds. So I agree with you about this this whole thing about
The dream.
you know, the dream, and needs to be worked on, because you know, we're creating a split with our person.
There's a place to go for acting. There's a place to go for dancing. There's a place to go to the Vidal Sassoon School. Why isn't there relationship school?
Well, they're starting to
I'm
happen
sure it's gonna
now.
start.
They're starting to happen because people don't know how anymore. They don't know how to connect. We have to learn this because we are faced with such. It used to be you go to one job, you live on one street, one neighborhood, you only talk to 5 people all your life. Now it's like there's so much out there, and we're being faced with this. So I totally agree.
Don't you think this dream is worldwide instead of just LA? It's got to be everybody's
Absolutely.
dream in
Everywhere.
every
Yeah.
country, every city, huh?
So we can break the trend of men dating their mothers.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Speaking about mothers, I have a real heavy comment to make, but it sounds
That's
like
later.
I don't know if I should make this. I think that men basically hate women. The way I see it, they basically hate their mothers. And because a lot of women complain about having sex with men and not following up with the nourishment, so to speak, that goes with the initial connection of feelings. You're not going to be mean to your boyfriend's feelings or your grandmother's feelings, or maybe they are. I'm not putting men down. The object of the show is to bring the sexes together, but I'm just making a statement from what I've heard from other women that men are actually basically, indirectly, I don't want to say men again, but I really love men, are really committing a crime when they don't follow up and take advantage of a woman. And just because they're called dogs and women are called cats, you know, why should that be an excuse to be able to have sex with someone and then be able to say, well, I'm a man and that's it, and it's too bad, I can't control myself. Then the woman has to take all the responsibility. She is carrying the emotions. Anybody want to say something about this? Give me some feedback. The woman is the one who's growing emotionally, and the men are not growing as emotionally as we are, and they are also leaving the whole responsibility on us. Hello, you're listening to Making the Moves.
Yeah, I have a question. You said it was a crime not to follow up on certain situations. Now, would you consider or give advice to maybe use like magic as an icebreaker, or lemonade, or lemonade stands?
No.
I don't understand the question.
I'm not following that one.
Okay, for example, you said to break the ice, like, I have a problem of not going all the way when I know someone's interested, and I have a problem of not finding something to make the final breakthrough.
With a woman.
Correct.
What, you mean you're intimidated or something? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm intimidated.
So,
So build up some confidence.
who do you want to direct the question to?
I guess you seem pretty knowledgeable in that area.
Well, I think that to break the ice with someone, you have to, you know, assert yourself in a certain way. You have to connect. Maybe you're not connecting. You have an intimidation about connecting with people, with a woman.
Right.
You had to
So
find
do you have
things in
anything that
common.
can, like, give me something to build on?
Well, there's a lot of different exercises that, you can take the number at the end of the show and we can send you some things and tell you where to go.
I'm hearing like there's some sort of expectations there that aren't being fulfilled.
Is that, go ahead. She says there's expectations.
Yeah, that's true.
And you're
I
getting
find that
let
to be
down.
Very true.
So you go into the relationship with an expectation rather than just to be with who she is.
Right.
And you're getting let down. And
Yeah, so I'm feeling like, oh boy, I should have said this, I should have said that, should have said this. Crazy. So,
Well, it's good to hear this from a man, Dave. Maybe you want to jump in here because
think
usually that's the woman that's
I think
feeling
did your mother have high expectations of you?
yeah, she really did.
Yeah, I got some baggage there.
Yes, in my opinion, I didn't live up to them.
Absolutely. And, yeah, and
Build
so
up
that's a
some
choice.
confidence.
That's something that you can just, be really aware of and look at and just, really look at letting that go. And again, that's perfect call. That's exactly what I'm talking about. The last few people you dated, I'm going to say they're Becky, Sue, and Nancy, and then you go into a relationship with Marla, and now you've got Becky, Sue, Nancy, Marla that you're dating, not just Marla.
Right.
And that
like it's a baggage thing.
Right.
Exactly.
That
So,
and lemonade.
where do you live? That was cute. Where do you live?
L.A.
So the airport's not too far from you, and
Right.
Right.
Just
Take the baggage there.
Jump. Same path OJ took after after he killed those people.
Thanks for your call.
Okay.
Okay.
Dave, I had a
That's good,
question
yeah.
here.
Anything.
I think that men, my thing is that I think women do a lot of the work emotionally.
It depends.
And I think that, I wish that, do you think that men need to meet women halfway?
I think definitely men should meet
And they're
women
not.
halfway.
They're not. Why is
Well,
it that a woman goes all out of her way? She's, oh, he's this, he's a hunter, he's that, I must understand that he's a man, I must understand that he's a hunter, I must understand this and that. A man doesn't understand anything about a woman. Why? And it's not an excuse. They darn well do understand. They just don't want to because they feel it's too much work for them. Explain that to me. Why aren't they meeting us halfway?
They could be insecure. They don't feel confident. Maybe it's just all a front. Maybe there's lack of chemistry. They just maybe want something for
they
one
just want
night.
that quick
They
thing,
just
that
want that
quick
quick thing.
quick
There's so
piece?
many factors. Yeah, quick piece. Maybe you could say it like that. Yeah.
Disgusting.
It is disgusting,
Yeah,
but
see, there we go again. That's a crime.
it is a crime.
Would
But
you
then
take
women do it for
advantage
men.
of your mother's feelings? Would you
Well,
take
not me per
advantage,
se, but there's people out there that do.
You know, of your boyfriends, you know, your people you work in your band with. Would you take advantage of their feelings? Don't you feel bad?
No,
when you
no,
hurt
no.
their
That's a whole
feelings?
different
But they never-
situation.
that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of crime going on.
There's a lot of crime.
A lot of women are running around raggedly. What do you think? With their emotions, they are running raggedly. And
They are, yeah. But
It's abuse.
It's
It is
abuse, yeah.
definitely abuse.
I
And when a
agree.
man
We're not
comes
really-
to you and wants to take you out, and she thinks and feels that they're going to go out and have a good time, get to know each other, have a good relationship, and maybe down the road this could be serious, and all he really wants to do is screw. And I think
Yeah.
it's abuse. I think he should put it right up front. It's a crime.
I think also, too, the main thing that I've witnessed is that, I'm not going to say men and women, but people confuse love with sex.
They do.
In that love is not sex.
That's a big difference.
There is love and there's sex. And most people, what happens is they put sex first. That totally kills the love.
Well, what it
Kills
does
the whole
is,
thing.
is we become the physicality.
Kills the
of-
possibility for love.
We are splitting ourselves.
Mhm.
We are giving up our true, authentic originality by just having the sex because it's easier. And a lot of people are really becoming more blocked emotionally because they have sex, they turn on, they turn off, they turn on, they turn off,
There's- yeah.
and they turn on and they turn off. You know, and I know lots of men that do it, and then that's why I don't want to bring up prostitution, but that's why that's so high up today. 'Cause everybody's so they have no feelings, so why not do it? They say. Hello, making the moves.
Yeah, I got a couple questions. Oh, we're turning down the TV, sorry.
Yeah.
Direct your question to someone.
To the musician.
Oh. Hey.
What bands have you played in?
Oh God, there's so many.
Come on, help me out here. Start off.
What? Unknown or known?
No.
God.
He's played with the Rolling Stones.
No, come on,
One
no.
time
Oh
Come on,
God.
break it
It's
down.
it's not important to know
No, it
it.
is. I'm just trying to get a feel for you here.
Oh,
What do you do?
I'm a musician myself.
Do you have any questions about dating?
Oh, yeah, tons.
yeah, let's get into that.
Tell us about the musician scene with the dating. These men that are musicians, they have a lot of women that.
Yeah, they all just want sex, you know?
Who does? The women?
Oh, the men, you know?
They do?
That's what seems to be the going problem of this conversation. That the problem is the guy doesn't want to admit that he just wants to have sex.
Yeah.
You know?
And why is that, do you think? Is there like a fear of love there? Is there a fear of commitment?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's so many options.
What do you think about unconditional love, where we want our society to get back to, where people can just love each other without any
Well, I love
restraints?
everybody, you know? Yeah, I don't hate anybody. I think it's all, you know?
Well,
just
you love
because
people. We all love everybody, you know, but the thing is about unconditional love without any constrictions, without any restraints. Why is it that people have a hard time going in a relationship? Everyone goes into relationships. This is another end of it with an expectation. If we just go into the relationship and nourish one another, because see, that's what happens. The woman goes with the man. She really doesn't want to marry him. She just wants some nourishment, maybe for a few weeks instead of just a night. You know?
Is that you talking? That's you talking, huh?
Yeah, so, you know, and so the thing is, the man runs, but the whole idea is she really doesn't want to marry you guys, you know. What she really wants is to have
a little nourishment, to be acknowledged, to be hugged and petted. And meanwhile, the man, he becomes the taker. And it's okay because he's the hero out there, the king. And that's not right. They think the women, they just create an illusion. The illusion that we create helps us to connect. And that's why we have to do that, because we need to have imagination, visualization, what all the body-mind things teach us today. And so even in relationships, they're transformative as well. So illusion is okay, fantasy is okay, but when a woman wants to get nourished, so to speak, and she puts herself out there, the man cuts off. Go ahead.
They always want to be as cuddled.
Cuddled?
Cuddle, cuddling.
All right, we're going to let you go. We'll see you. Thanks for calling.
Hey, you know what? One more thing. Y'all got stinky titties.
I don't know what, I couldn't understand what
Sorry, we didn't hear that one. Yeah, so let's talk about open marriages. What do you think about that?
I think it's great, and it's fun. It's easier.
Totally against it.
You think it's great?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, why?
Well, it just depends on how you go into it.
Your experience in the
Now,
opposites attract.
consider.
Yeah.
You're involved with Opposites Attract. It's a dating service here in LA, and you've worked with a dating game. So tell me about, what do you think about open marriages? Is there such a thing as cheating or being happily married and going out once in a while? The man or woman?
Oh, it happens everywhere. Sure, there's cheating, there's open marriages, but I fully disagree with it.
If it's true love, yeah, then it's not right. But if it's just halfway to have some fun, maybe kind of there's a little bit of love, then
well,
maybe
we have a
it's
form
okay.
that you can fill out. You check the box other. And,
Yeah.
If you want an open relationship and open marriage, I see a lot of it these days. I kind of think it's healthy.
Very rare, very rare.
Oh no, I know so many.
Very
me too.
rare. There are very few people. If you are truly in love with a man,
right.
you do not want to share that man with another
Right.
woman.
Now, if both of you are
love-wise,
fully
time-wise,
agreeing
money-wise,
on that.
because if a man is married and he spends time with another woman, all he actually is doing is taking time and money away from his children and his wife. It's very selfish, unless it's agreed upon by both people. But then usually what the man ends up doing is dating a girl who is single, and she doesn't even know that he's married. And he will lie for months
And she'll end up
months
having
about it.
his kid, and then
Well,
he'll want to go back to the wife.
It's like totally against nature, I believe, for us, because there are 25 sexually transmitted diseases, and with AIDS going on today and everything, and I don't care if you're on birth control, there's chances of getting pregnant, always with a woman. So if a woman is going to have sex with a man, she always has to consider if she gets pregnant, what is she going to do?
So what's wrong with that? We'll have a bunch of kids running around.
Right, but you got to know the man first to see
So
if you're
what's
even
going on?
compatible to raise a child together. I mean,
Okay, Anita, what's really going on? Let's talk.
We'll have a bunch of kids running. Oh, another call.
Uh-oh.
Hello, making the move.
Yeah, hi. I think you're all very attractive women, all of you. Even the guy, he's attractive too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Send this guy some roses.
My question is to the lady with the choker. She's pretty hot. What's your story?
Second guy calling for her.
Take your top off, would you?
pardon me?
Take your top off.
Honey, that's the wrong
Not
show.
Howard Stern, sorry.
Oh.
We're bringing the sexes together. We're not making objectivity of the
No,
sexes.
I'm just joking around. See, that would be my line to the lady.
We're going beyond looks here. I mean, I would like to really get down to like feelings and trust and love and in relationships that rather than looks. I think this is something that should be discussed.
Okay.
That's the line you greet people with, is take your top off.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. You've been listening to too much of that other stuff.
Too much Howard Stern.
See, we're bringing the sexes together. We're not objectifying the woman or the man.
All right. Well, drink lemonade, everybody. Drink lemonade.
Same guy who called before. Chow, baby, chow. Anyway,
Would that be fresh squeezed?
here's one.
Yeah, really.
This is one from Miss Dating Girl here, who's worked for the dating agency. She's also with Opposites Attract, the dating service here in town. They can really get you together with someone.
Interracial dating service.
Interracial, and we're faced with a lot of cultural. Let's talk about this. Do you think, why is it that people are not connecting? Is it because of careers and traditions?
Absolutely.
Or is it because of the multicultural impact right now in the United States?
Both.
We're having a lot of multicultural. I mean, I date all kind of people. I'm not prejudiced, which is great.
Yeah.
Anybody want to call me? No.
That phone, there's a call.
Getting beyond color of skin and
I think,
culture.
yeah, opening
we
up
all
that,
have a
that's
heart
great.
and a soul
So that's a new
and a
impact,
mind.
and that's
Yeah.
a new thing for our
We all have the
emotions
same
to handle.
needs in one.
Why?
That's
Is
true.
it because we're coming from our parents' parents, our
It's the new
grandparents are
millennium.
into that tradition?
Yeah.
So
It's
what's
the new
story?
millennium.
Tell me about it. Tell me.
Times are changing. It's not the
Right,
same
but you
black
know
and
that
white thing.
Grab
It's
any
all.
guy, no matter
It
what
is.
color he is, if he can make you happy,
Right,
if you
but-
can get along and be compatible and you're
absolutely.
happy and can laugh together and have fun, grab him and don't let him go.
I totally agree with you.
What she said.
Right, it is. It doesn't matter what
I
color
wish I
the
could find
person's
one.
skin is. It doesn't really matter. But the thing is, for people's conscious mind, it's okay. But emotionally, people have a hard time adjusting because it is an adjustment. It's a new adjustment for our emotions. You know, we're very conscious people out there. We're very outward. But when it comes to our emotions, a lot of us don't know that side of us. So we have hidden thoughts. We're thinking one thing, we're doing another thing. And, you know, and our body, that's why the body movement teaches you how to think and move together what you are feeling and moving it out. But that is an impact in the
Yeah,
world.
I also think too, Anita, that women they're so emotional. I think men have the ability to detach,
Okay.
where women have the ability to attach.
I think I have to agree with that.
Women attach, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Making the moves.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi there, how are you?
Okay, good. How are you?
What's happening?
I'm loving the show.
You have a question?
Yeah, I do have a question. I want to know exactly what she thinks about the latest book that was written by Mr. Sussman on sexology. Are you familiar with that book?
I've heard of it. Well, tell me something about it.
It's connected primarily, well, I heard about it first on the Howard Stern show. You listen to Howard Stern?
I was on Howard Stern show twice, and I won the debate, and I aired all over Philadelphia, where I'm from, all my feminist comments. So I won the debate with him, and I'm not going to let you hear the tape, but go ahead.
When were you on?
A long time ago. I'm from Philadelphia, and I was working in radio there for 5 years, and I got on his radio show doing a debate.
You were on the Howard Stern show?
Yeah, a debate, not nude, so don't get excited.
Well, I heard about, Howard Stern, actually, I heard about this guy Sussman's. Are you familiar with Sussman's book?
Well, it must be new, because I haven't heard of it.
What do we want to talk about a book for?
Yeah, well, tell us about the
don't
sexology. Give
know.
us the object of the book. What do you
Well, I like
think?
Howard Stern.
What's the question?
Get about the book. Tell us. Come on.
The book is the story of, you ever heard about Melrose Larry Green?
This is getting off track. Everything.
I don't know. What is it? What's your point?
I have no life.
You have no life?
No.
So what's the point of the book?
The point of the book is the story about Cy Sussman.
Okay.
And I heard about it on the Howard Stern show. This is a great program. I'm loving this show.
Okay.
This is very, very entertaining.
Great.
Okay. Well, thank you for tuning in.
How do you feel about dating?
How do you feel about dating?
Well, I don't date that much. I stand on Melrose Avenue most of the time with signs.
And what?
You do.
Yeah.
Have a date,
Okay,
we'll
we
travel.
gotta go.
I like to date.
Bye-bye.
Oh.
Another call coming in. Where were we? Is that another call?
A book.
It's not flashing.
Hello?
No.
No, not yet.
Oh.
What I wanted to tell, where were we? We were saying...
About the men that can...
detaching,
detached.
attaching. What about that? Women attach. Why? Because we carry babies, when we do, whenever.
We're
Anyway.
nurturing. It's natural for us.
And it's natural that we're opening these deep core emotions, so we are naturally attaching, and men are not meeting us halfway and understanding that. But go see a man. A woman always meets him halfway. Oh, he's got hunter needs,
Right.
And so what is it? Why? And women, how strong can our emotions be? We don't want to be living on our masculine side, and that's what we're doing.
Right.
So what about this? What can we do? Dave, Aaron, Curly?
What can we do?
What can we do?
Hello,
Good
making the
question.
moves.
Yeah, hi, Anita?
Yeah, who's calling?
Jeffrey.
Jeffrey who?
I'd have rather not give my last name. What's the musician's name?
David Norwood?
David, I wrote a poem for him.
Oh, did
You
you?
did.
A quick one.
Okay. Yeah.
Roses are red. Violets are blue.
Get ready, Anita.
Oh no.
You need a haircut.
Oh, no, musicians all have long hair.
No, he looks like the incredible...
He's got the musician
The
do.
hair.
Oh well.
That's all right.
That's okay.
All right, well, we thank
Okay.
What else? You got anything to say? Positive? That was kind
You're
of...
pretty good. You're pretty good looking.
That's not really positive. You're objectifying me.
Oh, I see.
You're objectifying me.
Okay. Take care.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you.
Who the heck was that? That knows me.
Oh well.
This was to call in with dating questions, right?
Right,
Yeah.
I mean, but this is the first time I'm doing this particular live show. you know, and
Call in about dating.
so
I
about
wanna
the,
know how you
Yeah,
yeah,
feel.
dating.
we would like the people to call us about dating specific questions, psychological things, emotional things. We don't want these hokey callers, you're good looking, you need a haircut. That's bullshit. It's a waste of energy out there. Call us with specific questions. We're all very educated and experienced in this field. Hello?
Yes, my name is Bill.
Uh-huh.
I'm from Venice, California, and I do have a dating question.
Okay.
Yay!
Hello?
Yes, go right
Go
ahead.
Venice.
Direct the question to whoever.
Okay, I like to smoke a lot of marijuana, and I'm looking for a girl who's not really hung up and likes to smoke a lot of marijuana as well. And I have a lot, and she doesn't have to buy it. So I was hoping maybe she would call in, and I could give her my number.
Okay, well, if she's listening, you know, she'll hear that and she'll call us.
I like fat women.
Okay. That's it. That's not a dating question. Sorry. Bye.
Call Howard Stern.
Oh, God. Now, here's the question. Okay, you were talking about the detachment, attachment, right?
Yes.
And the women, right, we were saying that because the women have the hormonal...
I think they're cowards. I
hormonal
think
thing.
men are
You do?
cowards.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
Really?
They're cowards. They're
Okay,
cowards.
well-
They do not want to give in a relationship. They're cowards as far as I'm concerned.
We have 1
They
minute
don't want
left.
to, they're selfish. They don't want to give the energy, the
Here's
time.
wow, the time went by so quick. We have 1 minute left. Should one wait for Mr. Right or use up their energy on other guys while waiting?
Oh,
Now,
God.
waiting could be...
Waiting could be a long time. Should one wait?
It might pay off.
No, there's, go out and do life, and I think the best time to find a mate is when you're not looking.
That's
When
so
you
true.
surrender, it'll show up.
It does work.
So then we should stay with ourselves as much as we can.
Absolutely. If you go out looking for a car, you might fall in love with the manager of the car dealership. You don't know that.
Very true. I just met one at a gas station. Out of the blue.
I hear grocery stores are
The grocery stores are great.
Produce, honey. Hey, all right. Let me polish your
Produce,
apples, baby.
Like, unbelievable. It does happen. Anything's possible.
Hey, this is Dave's song we're playing right now.
Oh, yeah.
Hippo Limbo Band.
Yeah.
This is called
Hooked on You.
Hooked on You.
Hope y'all like it. It's new.
I have one thing to say about relationships. The beauty of a relationship is that when it ends, you get to relive it. Think about that. You get to relive again. When life ends, it's death. So cherish your relationships and relive and grow from each one.
Spoken like a true Scorpio.
Yep.